This is the story of Cain and Abel. It is designed for the K through 2nd grade class. It comes in a black box and it looks like this when you open it. Our story today comes from God's true book, the Bible, and we have been spending our time in the very first book of the Bible called Genesis. Genesis means beginnings. Today's story is the beginning of something very awful. If you want to read this story for yourself when you get home today or with your parents, it comes from Genesis chapter 4. Oh no, another black box. This is not good. We've already had the horrible story about sin coming into the world. This can't be anything good. It has to be about sin. We remember that Adam and Eve lived in a beautiful garden, and God had sent them out into the world where they would have to work very hard for their food. I am sure they missed all the times in the garden with God, the times that they would walk and talk with Him, the times where they never had bad thoughts or were jealous of one another. But now I am sure they had trouble getting along sometimes. They might have argued. We know it was hard for Adam to grow food and for Eve to have a baby. But God still took care of them, and God blessed them. And one day, Eve gave birth to a baby boy, and they called his name Cain. They were so happy to have a boy, Cain, and soon they gave Cain a brother, and they named this boy, Abel. And as Cain and Abel grew up, Cain really liked to be a gardener, probably like his father, and Abel liked to be a shepherd and take care of sheep. I am sure their parents told them as they grew up all about God and when they lived in the Garden of Eden, how wonderful God was and how perfect the world was. I am sure Cain and Abel, like you and me, can hardly understand how that would be true, how the world would be so perfect. And then I'm sure that Adam and Eve told their boys about how sin had come into the world, how they had disobeyed God, eaten of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, done the wrong thing and been kicked out of the garden. But I'm sure they also told them about the little story of hope, that one day a seed would come from the woman, and that seed would bruise, the snake would bruise the heel of this seed of this child, but the child would trample and kill the snake. I'm sure they knew all those stories. Well, it came a day for Cain and Abel to worship God with a sacrifice. And they had their altar built. And Cain gave God a sacrifice of fruit that he had grown. And Abel made God a sacrifice of a sheep that he had raised. And as it turned out, God was not pleased with Cain's sacrifice. We don't really know why. And Cain got very mad, and God came to him and said, "Don't be mad. Don't be mad. I still love you. Don't be angry against your brother." But Cain was so angry at Abel, he wanted to kill him. He was so jealous that God didn't accept his sacrifice, but he accepted Abel's. Cain had an awful thought, and he didn't stop thinking about his thought. One day the boys were out in the fields, far away from home, and Cain came after Abel and killed him. And Abel was no more. He died. And later that day, God came and called to Cain, "Cain, where is your brother Abel?" And Cain said, "Am I my brother's keeper? I'm not in charge of him." And God said, even now the blood of your brother is calling out of the earth, for you have killed him. And Cain said, I have killed him. You were right. Have mercy on me, O God, because Cain knew the punishment should be death. And God said, I will not kill you. I will send you to live far away from here. You will be a wanderer, an exile in the earth. You will leave your family and everything you know. And Cain said, oh, people will kill me. People will kill me if you send me out of here. I will die. In any case, I will be dead. And God said, I will put a mark on you, Cain, a special mark, so that if anyone wants to kill you, they will see the mark on you and know that they will be punished 7 times more if they kill you. God was giving Cain mercy. Cain did not deserve mercy. Cain had murdered his brother. He had taken a life. This had never happened before in the world, ever. It was the first murder. But God had mercy on Cain and gave him the mark. And Cain had to leave. He had to travel far away from his family, from anything he had known, everyone he had known, all the places he had gone. He had to travel away. But God protected him anyway. God had mercy on him. I wonder what happened when Adam and Eve heard that their son Abel was dead. And then they heard that their son Cain had killed their very own son Abel. I wonder how awfully sad they were. I wonder what Cain thought about as he journeyed far from home, far away from all the family that he loved and knew. He would never see them again. I wondered what he told people when they saw the mark on his face. I wonder if people avoided him and turned away from him, or if anyone was his friend. I wonder what this story means to you. Has anyone ever shown you mercy when you deserved punishment? Maybe your parents, maybe a friend has forgiven you. God is the great giver of mercy. He gives us what we don't deserve. He gives us life. He gives us love. And later on, we will learn about the greatest gift He has ever given.